So I'm deeply fascinated by the relationship between media and memory because it's such a powerful influence in how we all remember the past and how we as a culture develop a collective imagination. Films in particular is a unique example of this process because of its ability to document life as a multi-sensory experience. Everything is absorbed in the present moment, even if the story is set way in the past. Saving Private Ryan provides a particularly unique example of this because its purpose as a piece of popular culture is not just to tell a story but to position the audience with the most raw and blunt portrayal of World War II. Therefore, it's designed to be a piece of documentation to an extent. As a result, the purpose of this essay is to examine Saving Private Ryan as a site of historical representation. Plus, I get to talk about memory academia for a bit, so what more can a guy ask for when they're bored?
You gotta think of a context.
Also, this is part of a really cool playlist project thingy with other smaller video essay channels, where every month we pick out a different director and analyze a film with our own weird little styles. Anyone can join, and I'm pretty sure at some point I'm gonna talk about trauma. Maybe during the Christopher Nolan one.
Someday we might look back on this and decide that Saving Private Ryan.
Alright, to begin, I'm going to introduce one of the key academics in the area of culture and memory, which is Alison Landsberg. I've mentioned her before because I'm that much of a fanboy. And she argued films are like an additional limb for the human mind because it allows us to integrate additional experiences, memories and stories from other people into our own perspectives. As she argued, the camera and the cinema enable people to take on memories of difficult past and thereby facilitate the experience of empathy. She called this prosthetic memory. For example, films like Saving Private Ryan allows people to empathize and engage with the horrible experiences of war veterans in a way that simply books and museums can't. Furthermore, Steven Spielberg was really deeply conscious of this quality because, as he said,
in a screening with veterans from combat, I've talked to veterans, validates all of our intentions of making a film that was honest to their experience, not honest to Hollywood's version of war movies over the last 50 years, and they all say that's the way it was for them.
The story of Saving Private Ryan deliberately avoids using any extensive war room or political perspectives in order to disallow the audience from getting any ideological bird's eye view. The story is not about why or who started the war, but instead it's mainly anchored by the skeptical perspectives of the ordinary soldier. As Marav Hoshin said, many observers have been attracted to the film because Spielberg seems to have created a narrative that shows some of the chaos of warfare without denigrating the motives of those who participated in the conflict. Yes, we can complain about the randomness of death, the disparate power relationships in the ranks, or the wrong-headed decisions made by unknown bureaucrats, but here, there is no questioning of the motives of the politician who got us into World War II or the heroism of those who fought it. Therefore, as an audience, we aren't directed to listen but to feel and absorb the experience like a sponge. Additionally, the movie devotes the opening 25 minutes to the brutal invasion of Normandy, where life is not determined by skill or altruism but by sheer brutal randomness. Then it's followed by the simple grounded search for Private Ryan and is concluded by a final last stand against a German attack where everyone is pretty much slaughtered. Subsequently, this sandwich effect is designed to bestow equal stature to the pedestrian mission of 8 soldiers looking for one man.
You want to explain the math of this to me? I mean, where's the sense of risking the lives of the 8 of us to save one guy?
The search itself is contextualized as the second act of the story and is composed of a series of temptations. Miller's company becomes more and more disenchanted and indifferent with human life. For example, they hate the mission. They playfully sort through a pile of dog tags without any acknowledgement that they belong to people, and they almost kill each other when Miller decides to spare the German soldier.
Are you letting this happen? Captain, you see this?
Therefore, succumbing to the ruthless calculus of war is like a spiritual enemy that they must overcome, because by being so desensitized by the death of hundreds and yet still being able to care about one person, well, that's the moral arc of the story and a point of shared personal ethical reflection for both the audience and the characters.
2 of our guys already died trying to find you, all right?
That's right.
Subsequently, many academics argue the most crucial figure to this arc is not actually Tom Hanks' character Miller, but Upham, the new member of the team brought on because he can speak German. Scholars like Peter Aronhouse argued that his character arc is shaped by a theme of failure.
One thing, you don't need to carry those. You'll need that.
Early on in the film, he fails to help the team because he only watches from afar. He induces Miller to release the captured German soldier in order to commit to fair play, then fails to provide other people with precious ammo and fails to help Milish. The man he helps save also shoots Miller, therefore Upham is responsible for 2 deaths and is forced to abandon his moral imagination to avenge them. Therefore, most audiences will both loathe him and also understand him. To this extent, Upham's story is framed around recognizing and accepting the absolute moral chaos of war. He thematically rejects the traditional moral, simplistic, and romantic myth that war is something noble and will bring about the best of young people. Therefore, Upham is designed to give the experience a modern lens that most audiences who weren't born anywhere near World War II a perspective to gravitate to.
War educates the senses, calls into action the will, perfects the physical constitution.
I guess that's Emerson's way of finding the bright side.
As Hashan argued, in many ways Upham is a strategically ambiguous character because he hails us to think of some of the class as well as generational dimensions of the war. He is not the typical grunt in the war, one of the faceless millions who have gladly made sacrifices for either his people or the American way of life. Upham is a cautious thinking soldier, the type of intellectual who clearly looks out of place. Unlike Miller, the teacher turned patriot, this is a person who did not understand the importance of heroism or sacrifice. When we see Upham, we don't just think of World War II, we think of a perspective, a hesitance to believe in any good war. As a result, this whole process encourages the audience to fill in the absences in ways that are personal and human. Therefore, as a culture, we all end up kind of like Ryan at the end, at the graveyard. We gain a bit more generational context to our lives, and now we continue the story of the past. The film, as a piece of prosthetic memory, is like an invitation.
Burn it.
So yeah, cool film. Pew 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 pew.
I mean, picture a girl who just took a nosedive from the ugly tree.